to the 4th episode. I'm Emery Wolf. Joining me is Nick Lamb, and we are just two camera guys, and we got kind of a special show for you guys today. We are talking to the crew of the Rod Pedersen Show, and dare I say cast of the squad.
Hey, that's me.
And yeah, so I think it'll be a fun show. We've all worked together for quite a few years. We all know each other. Yeah, so we're going to have some fun with it. The first thing I think we should do, do you know what? Actually, Nick and I do this really poorly, but we like never promote ourselves. So give us like the Rod Pedersen Squadcast promo.
Who's going to take it? Me?
Clark, that's got to be you.
Yeah, it's you, Clark.
Oh, okay. What do you want, like a wrestling promo, or what do you want from this?
Sunday.
We're coming at you, brother. So yeah, hey, I'm producer Clark for the Rod Pedersen Show and the Squadcast. The Squadcast is my show. I produce the Rod Pedersen Show along with these fine gentlemen on a daily basis. The Rod Pedersen Show started just under 2 years ago. And it came from with Rod being let go by the Riders as the voice of the team. He wanted an outlet, and Darren DuPont, as the executive producer, had this big, grandiose idea of this daily sports show that's on a national, international base. And it quickly turned into an idea that Ryan had, which was an online Facebook-driven show. So it kind of molded or melded the two ideas together that kind of just worked really well right off the hop. We were extremely engaging. We had this great interactive fan base that tuned in every day. We still have people that tuned in on day one, that tune in every single day, that haven't missed a show. So it's a really exciting avenue for us to kind of get creative, and we've tried a lot of things. I think we've trailblazed a lot of things that we see a lot of people copycatting us now, which I think is awesome and kind of hilarious because we're kind of just trying things.
We don't really know what we're doing, and people are copying us like they're like, hey, those guys are doing it, we should be doing it too. And daily we're just kind of like muddling our way through the dark, going like, well, what do we try doing today?
Yeah, so
hey, let's try this.
What gear is available now? What little minor improvement can we make here? So it's been a literally crazy 2 years, and we've recently got on national television throughout North America with the show. And it's also led to a launch of my own show, which is like a spin-off sort of weekly show called the Squadcast, which I host with one of our interns, Max Ritz, who's from here in Regina as well. And it's just kind of a chance for me to get out there. It gives Jordan a couple extra hours throughout the day. And and it's just super fun for me because as Emery knows, as Nick knows, and as you can tell through this intro, I can talk a little bit when I get going. So
the nice thing about this is Emery and our show is international, so you'll see a little bump now.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
We're getting the two camera guys bump.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of the 15 people that watch our show, where does someone actually find the Rod Pedersen Show? So you said it's online. You said it's on a network station. What are those avenues?
Yeah. So again, we started on Facebook at our page, the Rod Pedersen Show page. And that's where we were for like a year, at least a year, maybe a little bit more. And then within the last since COVID hit, we kind of wanted to get a little bit more creative and branch out as much as possible. So our full episodes are over on YouTube as well at the Rod Pedersen Show page. So you can watch live there as well. And all of our clips and previous archived episodes. And then on the Game Plus network, that's our TV station. So I don't know what channel that is for everybody, but we're on like 20, 30, 40 different cable providers throughout North America, all of the provinces, I think, 31 states, and growing. So I think it's like over 1 million homes in Canada alone.
Yeah.
That's where we are on TV. So we're pretty pumped about it.
We're on Twitter sometimes too.
Sometimes Twitter. Sometimes Twitter.
Sometimes.
It's actually funny. It's a thing. Because we started doing Twitter, and then we were like, oh, let's just do it for special things. And then now it's just like random. Like we don't know what's special anymore. We're like, should we put this interview on Twitter? Heck, why not? So it's
weird.
It's like Easter eggs.
Twitter's weird.
Yeah. That's all right. Ryan, what's your role with the Rod Pedersen Show? What do you do?
So I'm the technical producer. And so for people that don't know what a technical producer is, I designed and built the system that the show runs on. I can't take a lot of credit for the way the show is right now because Jordan's really kind of expanded it past its original intent in good ways. But I'm technically responsible for all of the elements that go on in the show, and I have to be able to fix anything on the fly. As well, like, you know, any other small production, you wear a lot of hats. So I also manage our broadcast and delivery to all of the different outlet locations, including Game Plus, which we deliver over the internet.
I was going to ask Clark what he does, but he was doing it now. He just showed us.
I was literally booking a guest for next week just now. So,
Jordan, how about yourself? What's your role with the show itself? You're kind of a bit of a jack of all trades, from my understanding, with it. And after that whole landscape versus portrait mode on your phone, I don't think I can call you a camera guy now.
You could argue that I am a camera guy, in that I'm still operating the cameras even when I'm behind the switcher. So switching, camera guy, good composed shots like this sort of thing. But no, my actual title here would just be I'm the director. I point the show at who's talking and bring the guests in. Keep Clark in line sometimes,
which is hard to do.
So we kind of joke around a little bit with Jordan. We shoot this on remotely operated cameras like a lot of news stations do. And so there's 2 remotely operated cameras in here, but every now and again Jordan's like, ready camera 1, taking camera 1, ready 2. 2, can you tighten up? Tighten up 2. Okay, that's good. Taking 2.
Hey, way to find it 2. That's good.
Way to find it 2. And then every now and again somebody will say, good job, Nick.
Yeah. That still happens.
It's good we have crossover jokes.
Yeah.
Actually, while we're talking about the crossover joke, does anyone want to explain the good job Nick joke?
Man, the origin of good job Nick. Was Nick not there for one day or something, and somebody thought Nick was on camera too? Is that where it started?
I actually.
It did start because Ryan would just say, whenever he'd hop on the thing, it would just be like he'd be saying a bunch of messages, and then there'd be a shot, and he'd be like, "Okay, good shot there, Nick." And then it was like, "Good shot, Nick." And then it just turned into everybody was just like, "Good job, Nick. Good job."
I have a limited vocabulary.
Ryan was just being nice, and then everybody twisted it into something.
Yeah, so for the people who might not know, like we are all former or current Regina Pat camera operators. I think you've said that in your show a lot.
Clark, when were you a camera operator for the Pats?
Sorry, broadcasters. Broadcasters. I never stooped to the level of having to operate a camera.
He was never reduced to being just a camera guy.
Yeah. So I think it just became a thing where, with me being the director of the Regina Pats games, I'll say that I was up there, and me directing what needed to happen for the sponsors and the flow of the game, listening to the director of the camera operators, I would also for everything just say, "Oh, good job, Nick," and then it turned into everybody saying "good job, Nick" for almost everything that happened.
The thing too is it started out as like the ultimate compliment. Like anybody could get a good job, Nick. And then it devolved into sarcasm, where anytime you screwed up, someone would say, "Oh, good job, Nick." And
awesome.
Actually, I think the name of your show is all related to that as well. And I think you can blame Clark for that one too. Has that been explored in this show yet?
No, it's one of our questions for the day too. And actually, Clark, you really do tell the story the best of our show name. So, and to clarify, the original line was just a camera guy, not just 2 camera guys, but we modified it for the show. And actually, we've got a really terrible answer as to why our show name is so terrible, and it has strictly to do with like Google. If you Google like just 2 camera guys, our stuff is the only stuff that comes up because no one else is dumb enough to name it that.
Yeah, everyone wanted to call it like Shutter F Stop or something like one of the most.
Point of view.
Point of view. Wow, that's deep.
Yeah, like there was like 3 other names we could have used that were all better, but then Nick's like, "Well, we'll rank good in Google if we do this." I'm like, "That's a good point. Let's do it." anyways, just two camera guys, just a camera guy. Clark, do you maybe want to elaborate on that story?
Yeah. So the funny part is that the other day, I think it was maybe a couple weeks ago, I actually asked them, like, do you guys remember like where it actually started? Because I have a version in my head, but I don't know if it's like the actual true version. So again, as the director of the Regina Pats game days, one part of my job was to run everybody through the script before the game actually took place. So we would all sit in a room. I would try to get everybody to shut up for like 5 minutes.
That was difficult sometimes, though.
Yeah. And then
there's also pizza.
There was also food, so it's hard to get everybody to pry their mouths away from the food. So my job again, I would hold the script. I would go through it. I would say, okay, we're doing this promo here. This guy's got to be here. Camera 3, if you can go on the ice for this. We have this promo. Maybe we need somebody in the stands. Can we get cameras pointing certain places, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it was during the game after that meeting, Emery had said something in the meeting where I was like, Emery, I'll get to you later, or something along those lines. I think it was you, Emery, who I called just a camera guy. Yeah. So there was something going on. There was some trouble happening in the control room.
If I remember it correctly, we were struggling with our transition out of one element into the next element with the motion graphics server. And Emery was like, oh, you should do this. And you said...
I said, Emery, can you please just hold on? You're just a camera guy. Like, we'll get to you later. Because I was trying to explain something to... Was it Ramsey or was it...
I think it was Knox that was running...
Noxy, maybe?
Yeah. Was running the graphics server at the time.
Yeah, so we were trying to figure it out, and Emery kept trying to push his idea in there, and I was like, Emery, you're just a camera guy. Can you please stop talking? And then that turned into, obviously, we pushed that hard, and anytime Emery said anything, he's like, well, I'm just a camera guy. So, and then I felt bad, so then we made it a fun joke, and it was... I think it's one of my favorite stories from my 3 years with the Pats, honestly.
I was laughing at it pretty hard that night it happened too. Do you know what the funny part is like, I could not tell you what I was actually pushing on you. Like, I have no idea what my option was or what I was trying to tell you.
And then I felt so bad too, because I'm sitting up there. I can't see any of you guys, right? I'm just on headsets. So I can't tell if Emery's mad at me or
If I remember correctly, like so for all of your viewers, like in the production environment, there are some stressful times when you're transitioning from element to element or this to that. And there's a group of 10 people and you're on a party line on ClearCom and you're all trying to work together. You're all trying to do the best job you can. And so it wasn't even that unrelated. Like, Emery was just relaying. He was like, okay, guys, I've got the safety shot for this or whatever. Like, it was just like a fallback for the director or something. And Clark was like, Emery, shut up. You're just a camera guy.
Yeah. Well, or it was almost sarcastic, but I was also being rude. Like, I was like, you're just a camera guy. Like,
but like it was actually helpful. Just not to you.
Yeah, not to me.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. Anyway, so that's where the just two camera guys comes from, which one of my favorite nights of my 3 years. Honestly, that was so funny, and it led to so many great jokes afterwards.
And the spin-off series with two camera guys.
And I own the hashtag now too, which is kind of funny. Like, no one else uses the hashtag.
You trademark it? Yeah, exactly. So you're good to go. You can make money off it now.
Jordan, so going back to with the Pats there, that's where we first met you, but that's not where you got your start. So how did you start out?
It really depends, I guess, on what you want to call my start, right? I always kind of think of my start as being when I got my first digital camera when I was in grade 4. And, I took videos of kittens and stuff like that, and I used Windows Movie Maker to kind of clip them all together. And it was around that point I got the bug. It stuck with me, and I kept playing with it. And then as I got older and apparently not wiser, I basically spent all my free money on cameras. Like, I worked an entire summer as a dishwasher and basically spent my entire summer's worth of money to buy a Canon T3i so I could learn to shoot video well on that. And then I had to upgrade my computer because I didn't have near enough computer to edit the video that came out of that camera. So
was the Pats like the first paid job you had using a camera?
The first paid stuff I did with the camera would have been with the basketball games at the university. And that one there was a case of Junior. I've been friends with him for years, and then he told me the one night he's working a Pats game. I'm like, hey, if if you ever need a camera guy, like, let him know that I know how to do stuff. And then he forgot. So, yeah, he forgot entirely. So it
Sounds like Junior.
Yeah.
Matt Dean, by the way. Shout out to Matt Dean.
Yeah.
He brought it up again, like several months later.
Well, because I asked him. I was like, "Hey, did you ever let them know?" Like, I was kind of kidding because I didn't actually like. I'm not gonna try to weasel my way into stuff like that. So, yeah. And then he's like, "Oh, I didn't, but I will tonight. I work a game tonight." And then he did. And it wasn't long after that I got that text from you when I was at work at a gas station. I was like, "Boys, this is big. I might get to work as a camera guy."
Yeah.
Beats being at a gas station.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan. So Ryan, you're the one that brought Jordan onto the team, right?
Yeah.
So, going into this, like, we always talk about you, like, quote unquote, discovering Jordan and Junior and all these other guys and bringing them on. So just thinking about that lines of discovery, how come you're out there discovering camera people? Why do you need to discover a camera person?
Well, so I'm not exclusively employed by the Rod Pedersen Show. Our parent company here is called IKS Media, and I manage the IKS Live portion of the business here. And so the IKS Live portion of the business provides the studio and the services to the Rod Pedersen Show for production. So technically both of these guys don't work for the Rod Pedersen Show. They both work for IKS that supplies them as a service to the Rod Pedersen Show. So the Rod Pedersen Show isn't the only thing that that IKS does. So we manage the production for the Pats. We have a long-time relationship with Curl Canada, so we cover a lot of their events. We do work with Country Thunder, so we're always looking for freelance operators to operate in the live environment. And these guys are some of the early adopters of getting sucked into working for IKS, as are both of you, which it remains to be seen whether or not that was a good career move for either of you or not. But here you are, we're still friends and you're still interviewing us. So that's a good sign.
So with that thought in mind too, you don't label yourself as a camera guy. So why don't you, or rather how do you know that you're not a camera guy?
Well, I can functionally point a camera and hold focus and stuff like that, but there's something more to being a camera operator that it's not that I don't have it, it's that my attentions lie elsewhere. So many people that I know, like you and Nick and even Jordan and a few other people, when you look through a lens, you are telling a story, whereas I am just capturing what's going on in front of me. And that's really apparent. Like when you watch as much camera operators as I do, you can see who gets it, who can anticipate things, who's telling a story, who's trying to direct something, who's asking to be the next camera shot that gets taken, who's understanding where they fit in the group of cameras, in the multi-angle coverage. And I understand where I fit in, but I don't have the natural thing that comes out of me where it's like, I know that this is the next thing. I'm mostly like a rote style. I know that this is the thing that I should do, and I'm doing it because I know that this is the thing that should be happening, but it doesn't come that naturally to me. I have to think very deliberately about doing it.
Clark, so with your role being a little bit different as well, how come a good camera guy is important for the things that you've done, and in all your roles, really? Like, you've crossed a lot of different things. Yeah,
no, it's funny you ask, because I don't think camera guys are actually that valuable. No. It's crazy. Yeah, Jordan's over there yelling at me. With the Pats, it's funny because, there'd be a lot of nights where I'd go up to Ryan before, like a couple hours before anybody would even show up. I'm like, so who's here tonight? And he's like, B squad. And I'm like, oh God, okay. And it's like, it's not like it changes the overall production level a ton, but it changes the ease to which you do it at. And when you have the guys, or I should say girls too, that you're comfortable with, that always do the right thing at the right time, and they know what they're doing, and they, like Ryan says, they can anticipate what's coming up next. Maybe they know what the promos are, so they know which kiss cam angles to go for, or they know which players to shoot after a goal. Like it's the level of comfort for a director in my role when I was with the Pats, or for a producer here, even with Jordan being able to anticipate an interview. Especially with Jordan loves talking about it. Maybe you guys can ask him about it. Hint, hint. But when we have 3 people in a studio like this, or there's a 3-way video chat going on, and Jordan gets to push a bunch of buttons and cut between them all, it's nice because he's gotten to a level of comfort with it, and it's good to see him kind of have fun with changing his shots and going at different angles, and knowing that he doesn't make too many mistakes with it. So with the level of experience with camera operators, you can always tell on an A night versus a B night, it's not worse, but there's a level of ease that you're missing.
So much more work.
Yeah. So yeah, there's more work. Maybe it's more mental, maybe whatever, but it does. You can tell that there's a difference when you get down to that level of stuff.
Jordan, maybe just for you, kind of elaborate on what Clark said. Like, what are some of the top things you've learned along the way? It's been a pretty short period of time. I know myself, I've seen a lot of growth in you, particularly how you shoot the Pats and what you're doing with the Pats. What are some tips for learning? What have you learned? That sort of stuff.
Oh man, the main thing I can think of is just the opportunity to do it. Like, when Ryan brought me in to do basketball games, I'd never shot basketball before, but I'd got to shoot other things. So there's a few things, like, when somebody throws the ball, I could track the ball through the air and keep a fairly good shot of that. And then I got brought in for hockey, and I'd never really even watched hockey, let alone shot it.
Yeah, and Jordan, can I cut you off really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Tell everyone what your first hockey game was.
Yeah, you mean my first time shooting hockey? Well, yeah. One of my first time shooting hockey was...
Not only was your first game the first time we used that camera,
yep,
but what game was it?
It was the Memorial Cup.
Like, welcome to hockey, like, right?
Well, that's. I will say though, like, I'd shot some hockey before that. I had a couple little opportunities with. There was
SJHL.
Yeah.
Yeah, we put you on the SJHL MJHL showcase.
Yeah.
And made you run corner cam with a handheld camera, but not a shoulder mount, like just one of these cameras. And you did great, and I don't know how you survived it.
The director more than once though asked me to, like, hey, can you tighten up a little bit? Can you tighten up? I'm like, I didn't want to say, like, I can't tighten up because I don't know what's going on.
Well, and then the next time we got to use you that wasn't basketball was Game 6 of a playoff series for the WHL on, like, regional broadcast that went to triple overtime, and then when it was over, you got beer bombed by the guys in the mezzanine.
Yeah, that's one of the best stories too. Just remember this, like, huge brawl breaking out just down to the right of me, and like radioing, like, Jordan, did you start a fight? And Jordan's basically giving us play-by-play of what was going on down.
I couldn't get out of there either. Like, there was a guy standing on my cable right next to me. And it might have been the guy who'd brought a car horn and a car battery with him to the hockey game, but he's standing on my cable. I couldn't get away from the fight. It was like pushing and shoving right next to me.
See? And that's where Jordan is more than just a camera guy. See? That's where it all ties together.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, too, while we're kind of talking a little bit about, like, kind of geary stuff too, what sort of stuff are you guys using on the Rod Pedersen show? You said you got a bunch of remote controlled cameras.
So
show them the NDI. Show them.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So if you want to have a look here, this is the Rod Pedersen studio. So this is the feed that we're going to be sending back to you guys. We've got 2 cameras. They're on tripods right now, but they'll be mounted in the new iteration of this studio. Those are Bolin 4K cameras with Sony CMOS 1-inch sensors. And Jordan is cutting the show over here on a TriCaster TC1. That's a TC1 LP, which normally lives in the control room, but because it's network controllable and IP based. We can run it out wherever. And so in the control room in the back, we're using.
Oh, that's my pants.
Oh, yeah, pants. Look at that. We're using TriCaster TC1 along with. We do a lot of work with vMix. And vMix has gotten a bit of a bad name as kind of the bastard child in the production world because I think a lot of low budget and poorly done productions get done out of it. But once you get past the easy mode on it, it's actually really extensible and really powerful. And so we do a lot of NDI communications and IP communications back and forth between TriCaster and vMix. And that's how we generate a lot of the integration into the show using... We have been using Facebook Live Producer and a platform that was called Wowza Clearcaster, and recently, when I say recently, I mean like in the last 2 days, we've actually switched over to vMix's social integration platform, mostly out of necessity because we had a problem with our Clearcaster integration. But yeah, that's how the Rod Pedersen Show is powered, is on Nutex TriCaster TC1. And supplemented with vMix and shot on 4K PTZ cameras. Our entire workflow is 4K, and then we deliver in 1080p so that we can do these cut-ins. So Jordan, can you hit there's our full 4K resolution image that's downscaled to 1080p, and then we punch into something like that, and we maintain our 1080p resolution and aspect ratio.
That's crazy. What are you using to actually output that? Because you've got several outputs because the show's live. So you're going live to TV, you're going live to Facebook.
Correct. So we've had to do a few different things, and we have to have a couple of options because with the internet and with IP, not everything works all the time. So we've got two encoders. We've got a Wowza Clearcaster encoder that's got Facebook integration and is able to do an optimized path to Facebook. So we use that almost exclusively for Facebook. And then TriCaster has baked into it a couple of encoders. One we send directly to Game Plus using an RTMP protocol. And another one we send to like a cloud-based service called Restream.io. And we multi-stream from there. So we send our backup Game Plus RTMP transport through Restream, as well as we send our YouTube feed there, and that also enables us or allows us to start sending certain segments to Twitter, Periscope, or to Facebook as a backup stream if the Wowza ever goes down.
So is that like when you're exporting a video, is it like, does it have a specific megabits a second that you're sending them, or is it different with that?
So yeah, the encoders are all they're all configurable. Encoder just means it's taking the video and it's creating it a transport stream. So right now, the most common is RTMP, which stands for Real-Time Messaging Protocol. And
that's
so
what it stands for.
Yeah, it it transports an RTMP stream of bits that then can be re-encoded, and so we can decide what bit level we need. And so because we don't have any camera motion in our show, and because we're a relatively low action, we don't have to have a high bit rate encode to be able to transport in high quality full 1080. There is another system that a lot of people are using called SRT, and our broadcast partner Game Plus would prefer us using SRT, but we've developed a really reliable system with them to use RTMP, and SRT is just a faster, lower latency, higher compression version of RTMP.
Stands for Secure Reliable Transport.
So before we move on to the next question, we got a bit of a time issue coming up here too, but can we all, or I guess, is it fair to say that we're all in agreement that a technical producer is much more of a nerd than a camera person?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
All right, cool. So going back to that last train of thought, Ryan, you said the show is a fairly still show. What's it like trying to direct something like that, Jordan, and picking your shots and what you're using and your camera setups and stuff?
I think one of the hardest things about getting started is like, I could always choose the cut where there's somebody who's talking, and you're looking at whoever's talking. And in my early days, I think I would just sit on the same shot of like Rod talking the entire time, and I would never take the time to go and do a reaction shot or get like what Ryan's thinking of what I'm saying. And then I'd come back and I'd generally just sit on the same shot the entire time, and it took a while of somebody to be like, hey, you should do some reaction shots to break it up a little bit, because otherwise it might look a little bit boring. But yeah, I think one of those hard things for me was to cut to somebody who isn't talking and just get their reaction on it, and then come back to whoever's talking.
Do you find like you guys have done over 100 shows, I believe?
400.
400. I'm a little
415.
Is it hard to, like, when you're doing and repeating that so much, how do you keep yourself like involved and you know, honestly, like not falling asleep and being inspired for the next show the next day?
It's a lot of self-loathing.
Yeah, self-deprecating humor.
Yeah.
The thing that this show, memes are important. The thing that this show has that a standard like talk show or newscast doesn't, and the thing that makes it really engaging for us is because it started on the social platform, we actually have a lot of interaction with the viewers, and everyone on the show is actually becoming a personality. Like Producer Clark got a whole spin-off because so many people know who Producer Clark is. And we have people that log into the show every morning and say hi to Jordan only and won't say hi to anybody else. Like a good guy.
And it's not just my girlfriend.
Yeah, it's not just my girlfriend. It's some guy in Victoria who's Irish.
Who I've never met before.
Yeah, you've never met him. So like that helps. But you guys can probably speak more to staying on A game. I can mess up the time counts because I'm doing other stuff during the show. So,
yeah, I guess for me, I haven't talked in a while, so I'll take over here for a bit.
Well, we're never going to.
Well, we were talking about gear and stuff, so I didn't get a chance. But for me, like I'm the guest booker for Rod's show and for my own, so. That's a challenge in itself. It's a constant, it's a 24-hour job, honestly. Every day you're looking for the next day or you're looking for something next week, and you have to constantly stay on topic. You have to stay relevant. You can't just bring somebody on for the sake of bringing somebody on. So I'm constantly like scouring Twitter for news, for people who are being active on Twitter, who have something to say, who are relevant. And again, like maybe it's not the star of the league or the star of the team, but a guy who maybe said something. So it's constantly me trying to scour every possible avenue, every network for relevant guests for the next big show. And there are shows that you kind of, I hate to say like you call it in for some shows, but there are shows where it's like, I just can't get anybody booked for this. So let's go back to the well and get somebody who I know is reliable and can do a good enough job for it. And so you try to avoid those shows as much as possible, which kind of keeps you motivated to have the shows where, like Ryan said, you get the people in the comment sections like, I loved this interview, this was great. And then that kind of drives you into, it's like golf. You know, in golf when you're really bad at it and you get one good shot and it's like, oh, I have to keep golfing now. So it's kind of like that where it's like, you know, one good show and it's like, oh yeah, okay, I got to keep doing this all the time. So if that's a good reference.
It's funny. I think that's a good metaphor. Like you're constantly looking for the next thing. And then, yeah, you'll get that like one little hit. I would actually relate it more to like being a drug addict almost, but
yeah,
same thing, right? Sports, drugs.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, for example, we would go through a lot of days where we would have regular guests on, and it's like, I almost wish I didn't have to have this regular guest on today. And then they would go away for a while, and you bring them back, and it's like, oh, he's awesome. Like I wish we could have this guy in more often. And it's a tug. Like every day, it's a tug of war with yourself trying to like. I guess these guys could speak to it too because it is a daily thing. And some days kind of feel a little monotonous. Like we've all said it at some point where it's like, you know what, today I'm just not feeling that into it. I think I said it last week a couple times. Like it happens. Even Rod, some days we can tell. And Darren, some days we can tell. Like they're not having their best day. And that's just how you kind of have to roll with it and try to just trying to keep improving yourself and get better every time.
I think the pandemic exacerbated a lot of that because we're a startup, right? And so we had to shelf some of our innovation just to survive. Not that things were going bad, but we had to be smart. We couldn't take risks for a while. Not that there's a lot of risks.
You can't spend money where there's no money.
But yeah, like we really had to like tighten it up, and so I mean that was a struggle, but at the same time, I think it actually really forced us to get good at what we had and do the best with it that we could, instead of just always like looking for the next thing and being like, oh, if we just do this, it'll be better. If we just do this, it'll be better. But to really hone the craft in the form that it was in before we started to add more things to it.
Yeah, I think we optimized a lot of what we did too. Like we grilled it down to its bare minimum sometimes. Not bare minimums, but to its basics, and we got those basics really good.
Yeah.
And now we're at this point where we're building on it.
Simplifying is always an answer. It's always a good answer, right? So real quickly, I want all three of you to touch on this, and maybe start with Jordan, but what is like, when you look back on over 400 shows now, what's like the one like highlight thing that you did, or a highlight guest, or a highlight anything from the show for you?
Oh, that's tough. Like when you said that.
Or wait, is your highlight being on our show, Jordan?
That's one of them. When you said that, one of the things that really came to mind for me was there was one episode where I think Rod was talking about NASCAR or something, because NASCAR is the only thing that was happening. And of course, like I'm not big into hockey or football or anything else, but I'm that diehard Canadian redneck NASCAR fan. And there's a guy from the local short track who's like, hey, Rod, do you want to come out to the track and wave the green flag for us at the race? And I saw the comment, and like Rod almost missed it. And I'm sitting there in the back, it's like, Rod needs to see that comment. Rod needs to do this. And they made it work, and I got to go to the track and, fly my drone out there and shoot the video of the racetrack and Rod waving the green flag. And yeah, I got to put this together, and I worked endlessly like into the night and to have it ready for the next day's show. And we got to play this pack, and it's like, that was probably one of the big moments. And then, I mean, we've had some big guests I get to brag about to the more hockey people. It's like, yeah, we had Don Cherry on our show.
Okay, so like I'm looking, it's not out here, but we have a picture of every guest. Darren made me a picture that I have framed.
Shot of it.
Yeah, sure. Of every guest we've had in the first year. So he gave it to me last summer. But there's we've had, again, 415 shows. So Ryan's got a picture of it. You'll see it in the post-production. Ryan, we've had 415 shows with an average of 3 guests per show. So for me, that means I've booked, not that they're all different people, but I've booked 1,300 guests. So for me, it's narrowing it down to 1 is really hard, but to narrow it down to 5 or 10, to get a guy like Don Cherry on the show, it was well after he got fired and everything and all that stuff happened, but to connect with him, I talked to him on the phone. I've talked to him on the phone. I literally talked to him on the phone yesterday. He called my cell phone. It's weird. So that's pretty that's kind of surreal. To talk to Ron McLean, the actor Kim Coates, who's in Sons of Anarchy. I did a Zoom call or a vMix test call with him. So I got to talk to him for 30 minutes. And that was pretty wild because I like Sons of Anarchy so much. He's from Saskatchewan, so we were able to connect that way. So things like that have stood out. But just overall, the body of work for me kind of stands out as nobody thought we could do it, and nobody thought we could get guests to begin with at all. And it turned into over 1,300 guests. And then there was one of my friends who coached me back in the day in hockey, over the first, I want to say 2 months of our show, maybe it was a month in, and he's like, you're going to run out of guests by Labor Day. And that was so we started in June.
That was when you called Leroy and Leroy that day.
Yes. Yeah, no, they were way down the line. But so this was back in 2019. I think it was July, and this guy says, you're going to run out of guests. And I was like, okay. No, I'm not, first off.
Challenge
accepted. So, and here we are almost a full year and a half after that challenge later. And we're still, I think we're still getting new guests that have never been on. And
people
we're still
are asking to be on the show.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Not now, but
now we're getting to a point where these bigger names that I would at one point have never thought possible have at least heard of us in some form. So they're like, oh yeah, I'll come on your show. Or the odd person will be like, can I please come on your show? And it's like, okay, 2 years ago, I never would have thought this would have happened. So for me, that's probably like where I would say my one thing is that we've gotten to a point now where we're kind of in the conscience of people, and we never thought that would happen.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. The that photo from and I think we need to mention Darren Moose DuPont.
Oh yeah, it's right here.
Here.
I think that's got to be pretty neat, and yeah, I think the Moose monogram for Darren's perfect. How about yourself, Ryan? Any highlights for you?
I've got a couple quick. There's kind of 4 that actually stick out for me. 2 technical and 2 content wise. The first and biggest one was, I think it was the second day of our second week. And we kind of didn't know what the show was going to look like. We didn't know what it was going to be. And we had Kevin Glenn reach out to Clark and be like, hey, can I come on the show? And we were like, wow, someone wants to be on our show. And he announced his retirement on the show.
From the CFL.
From the CFL. And everybody was trying to break that story, but he came to us, and like I remember like high-fiving you in the back.
Yeah, we were all
just like it just felt like, hey, we've got something.
Yeah.
Like that was one of those like adrenaline moments for me because we kind of didn't know what we had. The other one, or the next one for me.
Ryan, can I just stop you for a second? When that happened, I think that was one of the very first episodes of the show that I was actually in the director's seat for. Like, you guys are like, oh my gosh, and you're making all this noise. I'm sitting there, it's like, I need to focus on what I'm doing here. Like, you guys are making so much noise.
And so the next one that was really, like Rod even was like, I hear the guys in the back. The next one was, we started out on a total budget on this show, doing the whole thing in vMix, and we had so many technical issues. And so when we finally were able to purchase like custom build hardware, like the new tech TriCaster, and the shift from where the show started to a true 4K workflow here, that was a big one for me because we spent close to a month prepping it, and we had to do the turnover in a weekend, and Jordan had to relearn the whole show, and we'd rebuilt it twice, and we had to rebuild it again, and like that was a big one for me. Another one was early on, we had like a really great joke that's been a continual thing, the segment where Rod was like, now I'm the pimp and the whore, and like it was so early. But like
cross that one off the bingo card for you guys.
But the thing is, like, when it happened, I was just like so aware. I was like, this is internet memeable content. Like it felt like we had really made something. And then, believe it or not, just the last 2 days have felt like a watershed for me because we started on Facebook because I had an existing relationship with Justin and Greg and was working on that show, and when they stopped working, I was able to transfer a lot of my contact and technical expertise from that show onto this show, including some specialized hardware that we inherited from them. And just in the last 2 days, we've been able to push past that hardware integration into something that we have developed ourselves. And I got to give Jordan a ton of credit for it. But we had planned to kind of try and get there by June this year, and we had an issue, and we pulled it out in under 2 days, and we were ready, and I'm really proud of that. And the thing that I'm talking about is we're able to integrate comments from all of the social medias now, not just Facebook. We can bring in Twitter and
I didn't realize that. That's
IRC and YouTube, and what are the other ones? I can't even remember.
Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube are the main 3 that we would
We could
use,
do Twitch if we wanted.
We can do Twitch too.
We haven't got there yet, though.
No. Just the ability to custom make something like that for ourselves was big. Like, that was huge. And we were forced to roll it out. We were like, yeah, beta version ready by the end of the week. And then we had to use it.
Well, no, you said like, hey, you came to me and you're like, hey, could we get vMix Social working like maybe by the end of this month or so? I'm like, I could probably get a beta version like by the end of this week, but I'm gonna under promise and over deliver. Yeah. And then I had it done yesterday.
On Thursday, our Facebook integration hardware just stopped working, and so we had to good thing we got this, let's try it, and it's worked out really well.
We've got one more section that we have to do, but I have one more question before we get to that section. Nick, did you have any questions, or does that sum up some good stuff for you today?
Yeah, no, now I know that Ryan calls you and me the B team. And I prefer, Jordan, your method of under promise, over deliver sure beats mine and Emery, who we over promise and never deliver anything. So that's far better models that you guys are working on than what we have.
That was our motto with the Pats, I think.
I'm not sure that's my model, but with that in mind, that actually gives me my last question, which is for Jordan. So Jordan, you're a pretty young chap. Nick and I have many years on you. So knowing that I think you want to continue in this sort of job. So who would you rather want to grow up to be like Emery or like Nick?
That's hilarious.
My answer is honestly, both of you guys have your own distinct talents and areas. Like I've learned so much from each of you guys. So I don't think I can pick one.
That's the non-denial denial.
His answer is Matt Howard. He has a stable job at a reliable place and
national media company.
Yeah, no, he's good.
None of this freelance fly by the seat of your pants stuff.
That's the best question.
That's great. So yeah, the last section we have to do is our photo challenge. And actually the first thing I kind of want you guys to do is, Nick and I, we've talked about names for this thing. We cannot come up with a name for it. I'm wondering if you guys can help me out. We came out with 3 names the other day that we liked for it, and really playing on the idea that it's wolf versus lamb, which we never realized until we started doing this, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, like we were talking, can I just cut you off? We were talking earlier about names before we started recording, names for your show, and you had this amazing opportunity to do something like wolf versus lamb or something like that, and you came up with just 2 camera guys.
Strong work, gentlemen. Strong work.
It's true. So now we're trying to make like this challenge a good thing. And
there you go.
The names we've come up with it are the tooth and wool challenge, or the fang and flock challenge.
Ooh.
Or the pasture pick with wolf and lamb.
Ooh.
You guys missed it. It's alliteration, kids. Fang versus fleece.
Ooh.
Fang and fleece?
Yeah.
The wolf pack and the lamb chop. So you could do something like that, maybe? Now I have to think about this.
I don't know. It's complicated. We're looking for sponsors. I don't know.
Yeah.
We were thinking maybe a butcher shop would sponsor.
There you go. I could see it.
I'd buy it.
Yeah.
I'd buy whatever they're selling.
The big bad wolf versus the little lamb. The big wolf versus the little lamb. I don't know. I'm
Game
too stretchy.
versus domestic.
Predator versus prey.
Predator versus prey.
Predator versus prey was
Nice.
one
I
of them
like
we
that.
talked about as well. Yeah.
That's good.
Anyways, let's get into the challenge. Nick, do you know what? I'll go first, just because I have to share my screen. So our challenge from Hirschmiller was to photograph a bird or some bird.
Yes, I watched that episode. I'm very curious to see what you guys got here.
So I'm gonna just preface this with taking a bird photo is very hard when the only lens you have is a 24mm lens.
Hope you can walk away quiet.
That means it's like shoots like this instead of like this. For Clark there.
Thank you. I had no idea.
Anyways, I did the best I could, and I'm gonna give you guys.
I actually didn't have any idea.
So this is my bird photo.
Ooh.
When in doubt, when it's not that good, go to black and white. And this is literally, all these birds were sitting on this elevator door here, and that was as close as I got to them before they flew away.
I like it. It's kind of got like a ghost town feel to it.
It's what I do, right?
You've just offended everybody that lives in Viceroy.
Yeah, sorry, Viceroyans.
So with mine, I'll just explain this for Clark. So I shot mine on 100mm lens.
Am I offended by that? I don't know.
You're just a producer.
I'm just a producer. Let's be real.
I shot it at 2.8, which means it's very difficult to get wildlife at 2.8. Most professional, which I'm not a professional wildlife photographer.
Remember that time Nick was talking about overselling? This is what this is right now.
But so it's very, very difficult to get a bird with a 100mm lens at 2.8. But
I'm pretty sure the guys that like shoot birds are using like 600 mil.
I did pull it off, and so what happened here was this is a kiwi bird. It's flightless.
Wow. I can't believe you found one of those in Saskatchewan, Nick.
It's very cold for a kiwi right now.
That's amazing. It's in its natural habitat and everything.
I'm starting to wonder, Nick, have you left your house for any of these challenges?
Well, this has nothing to do. That may or may not have been in my living room. That's not why
I need
shot
some
it like that.
clarification on this one. Was that shot on your 100 to 400 at 2.8, or was that on the 100mm macro at 2.8?
It was the 100mm macro.
Okay, points off.
If it was the 1 to 4, it would have been
Points off.
5.6 or 6.3. I couldn't have blurred out the background as
No,
well.
if it was on the 100mm, 100 to 400, I'd have been like, okay, that's a great shot. You had to be on the other side of a wall inside your house to get that shot.
So talk amongst yourselves. Who has won the bird challenge?
So I think your challenge should be the oversell underproduced challenge. That's almost should be your challenge. That should be the name of it. I'm vote. If I had to vote, I would vote for Ghost Town and the Predator.
Well, there's 3 of you, so I think you could all vote, and we're not gonna.
Jordan, I'll be the tiebreaker.
Oh no. Okay. I don't know. For me personally, I'm leaning towards the black and white. I've never been to the town of Viceroy before, but it's a neat perspective. There are birds in the image, so it counts.
Yeah, that's my favorite kind of challenge.
Yeah, like
when it just counts.
Yeah, there are birds, I think.
Okay, when you're shooting, that was more of landscape photography. Not to take anything away from your guys' votes, but that was definitely a landscape photography focus on the elevator, and there happened to be birds flying by.
I went out specifically for
though,
those birds.
it's interpretation of the challenge. Emery had a more nuanced interpretation of what the challenge was supposed to be, and Nick really just took it straight forward. He was like, hey, I'm going to take a picture of a bird. It doesn't matter if that bird is living or dead.
Is this a clean sweep for Emery on this one?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to vote for Emery too.
I don't know if Nick's allowed to, but he might have swayed my vote a little bit.
Uh-oh.
It's like I feel like Nick's image is more true to the nature of the challenge.
Wow. 2 of the votes are going to Emery.
Yeah, my vote's with Nick.
Sorry, Nick. I'm normally on your side on this one, but
Emery, I think to close off this challenge, we have to say to you, good job, Nick.
Sounds right. Next thing we need is our next challenge. So when we have our next guest on, what do we have to shoot?
The undersell challenge.
Yeah. So
our living room is what I'm hoping for.
How about I don't know why this is coming to me, but electricity. So that's just like a theme. So something electrical, or I heard you guys had a great conversation on your last episode about lightning, which I guess isn't overly happening right now, but like something electrical.
Or you could get a stock photo of what's his name from the WWE.
Oh,
the most electrifying.
Oh,
that's
Randy Macho Man Savage.
Macho Man,
because he can do it from his living room.
I've taken a photo that week of every competition.
There you go. So I don't know. Are you guys okay with that theme? Electrical?
Yeah,
electricity.
I'm fine with that.
If I was going to generate a challenge, I would say take a picture of something in your living room. Then maybe Nick will win one.
My living room or Nick's living room?
Oh, Emery's living room just for the added challenge. Because then Nick would have to leave his house.
No, I like electricity. We'll do electricity next time. That'll be fun.
Okay, cool. Jordan, you didn't say anything on it, but
no, I'm on
you're
board
okay with that.
Like, of course, my head is like you got to do like either car photography or like transportation.
Oh,
but you know what?
You could do an electric car.
Ooh,
there you go.
We can add that to one of our minis, Emery, the car one.
There you go. That's your macro challenge for the micro challenge for the show. Next
show.
Perfect. We'll take it. We'll take anything we can get at this point.
Your bonus
Just call
entry.
it micro challenge.
Yeah. So you have your big challenge, which is electricity, and your micro challenge is to a car.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were trying to say macro photography, but you said micro instead.
I don't know what that means.
He's not a camera guy.
Anyways, you guys, like I said, I know Clark's got to get going, so we should wrap things up here. It's great having you guys on. It's always a joy to talk to you guys. It's always some good laughs. Hopefully, if we get a WHL season, maybe a bubble, who knows? Who knows? It'll be fun to be back at things again. Nick, any closing remarks?
Yeah, no, thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Clark. And good seeing you again, Emery.
Yeah, and make sure you guys check out the Rod Pedersen show. It's good fun. Personally, I actually like Clark's show, the Squadcast, quite a bit, and I pretty much tune in almost every Tuesday night for that thing.
Yeah, and thanks for chirping me. I love it. It's my favorite part.
It's what I do. So anyways, thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see y'all next time.
So, okay, wait. Before we start, am I supposed to look into the cameras when I talk, or to them?
Can you text it to me?
Can I what to you?
Sorry, can you text the email address to me?
It sounded like, can you taxidermy that to me?
I thought he said tax too, and then I thought I'm like, tax, that doesn't make sense. Did he say fax? Did he say fax it to me?
Say fax.
Can you fax it to me?
Yeah. So
I can't find it. Sorry, guys. There would have been a way for me to pick this off and send you our actual video stream, but would have taken a few extra minutes of effort. If I had ruined 5 minutes before.
Basically, what I'm hearing is you ruined our entire episode.
Pretty much.
Look, I'm in my kitchen.
yeah, that does look pretty bad.
Is RTMP messaging protocol or media protocol?
It might be media protocol.
It might be media protocol.
I couldn't understand half the words Ryan was saying with the tech jargon. That was crazy. I couldn't keep up.
I know a little bit about a bubble city that you can't talk about at all, but just a heads up, food for thought, something to think about, because that, if this goes ahead, that'll be what's coming. If I had to sacrifice anything, I would sacrifice Nick before I'd sacrifice you.
Take that, Nick.
Yeah, well, I'm the B squad, so that's what happened. Emery, are you ready for the photo contest?
Yeah.
Do you get something for you guys to do?
Correct.
I'm part of it. I'll have to decide if I want to go a little risque on just two camera guys.
If Clark does something too dirty, can we cut it out? He's got me all worried about it now.
This is ridiculous how this is working.
Yeah. I wish we could send this return video to you so you could see it while we're doing it.
Is it the Rod Pedersen show in the background too?
Yeah.
It's 100% the Rod Pedersen show.
That's awesome.
You can see our program feed. Jordan's switching it from the desk, and then he's going to send you just a recording of that so you can put us all in one box.
Jordan, are you seriously doing vertical after the years and years of you bashing people for doing vertical?
Well. I've been shooting vertical. Emery loves it.
That was a great call, Clark.
The fact that Jordan literally like bashes people on a daily basis for using vertical video, and then he comes in here on where we're trying to show off camera stuff. Vertical. My God.
So I guess I can't even introduce him as a camera guy now. It'll be the producer Clark, our technical producer Ryan, and Jordan. That's it.
Less than a camera guy, Jordan.